Hello, friend, and welcome to Trenton 365. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. Make sure you go over to the website, Trenton, the numbers 365.com, and there you can see all the different social media platforms that I'm a part of, as well as the different organizations that I'm supporting. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But over on the website, Trenton365.com, you'll see the breakdown of the acronym R.E.A.C.H, R-E-A.C.H, which is how I focus the programs that I do here. And that stands for recreation, environment, art and culture, civic engagement, health, and nutrition. And on there, you'll see me talking about the things that I'm doing with the skate park initiative and biking and supporting the environment through the Delaware River and water access, as well as the art and culture portion, connecting with artists and civic engagement, library boxes of Trenton, health and nutrition, as long as the medical cannabis and the other cannabis things that I'm doing as well. But most importantly, the opportunity that I'm bringing to you is for you to connect with people that I have a personal relationship with, people that I have known, people who I support, and organizations that I support as well. And it is now a great time for me to bring on Michelle Gbelama, who is a professional tennis educator and athlete from Trenton, New Jersey, who has gone to college playing tennis and has now come back to the city of Trenton to share all the information that she has, and has started this wonderful organization called She Leads Sports LLC. We're going to be getting into the meat and potatoes about what that organization is, but I want to bring onto the screen the wonderful, talented Michelle Gbelama. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm good, Jacque. How are you?
It's fantastic. I want to go back. I want to go back and talk about when we first met, when you were doing things in the city of Trenton regarding tennis. And
Yeah.
I'd like for you to talk about the organization that you were working with when we met. But I also like for you to talk about how you got involved in playing tennis in the city of Trenton and the program.
Okay. Well, I'll start with how I got involved, and then it leads into the organization that I worked for over the years. So I actually started playing tennis really late. My family's from West Africa, so we moved to the U.S. when I was 12 years old, and I didn't really know much about the sport. I'm going into high school, so I grew up in Trenton, went to Harlem Middle School at that time, and then went into Trenton High School. So going to high school, I knew I wanted to get into college. I wanted to be able to further my education. I understood that my family could not afford college. So I needed to find a way to sustain myself. So I spoke to my guidance counselor. He told me I needed to become a well-rounded student athlete. So he said, join a sport, get involved in other organizations, volunteer opportunities, and so forth. So that's exactly what I did. I got involved in so many organizations, including the NJTL, which I'll talk about a little later. And I got involved in playing tennis. So I played tennis in PE class, thought it was cool. It was different. So I was like, okay, sure, let me try it out. My first few months, I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I really liked what tennis did for me. It really made me understand how to be strategic. It's more of a mind game. So it made me really feel like I was a part of something. And out of nowhere, I really caught on to the sport, and I started putting in more time, practicing more, and got very good at it out of nowhere, right? So I started from playing number 3 tennis to number 1 tennis by the second year. So I played number 1 tennis at Trenton High School, and then coaches started reaching out to me. I started winning matches, and that's when coaches starts to reach out. Oh, who is this girl who's never played tennis before? Now she's winning matches against those who started when they were babies, right? So that's how my journey started. And from there, I joined the NJT of Trenton, which was providing tennis opportunities, tennis coaching outside of school. And they will bus us to a certain location every weekend and just give us more lessons. So that's how I got involved with the NJTL. From there, I started to focus on college, how to get into college. I got involved in so many different organizations that helped me, provided me scholarship opportunities going into college. So that's how my journey started. And then went to college, started playing number 4 tennis. The next year I came back saying, I'm not going to be number 4. I am a #1 player. So I came back to the NJTL, practiced with them the entire summer, and I got back to Drew University and became the #1 player. So I played #1 tennis for 3 out of 4 years of my college career, won several championships, several tournaments. I was 2-time MVP recipient. So I really had a great time playing tennis, travel around the country, went to Puerto Rico, in different places, just competing. And it was such a great opportunity. And I saw that tennis is, in our community, is not a sport that we focus on, but it is a sport that provides a lot of opportunities. And the competition is, especially for African Americans, there isn't much competition in tennis, right? So it's great for us to encourage our students to, reach outside the box and give them understanding of other sports, of how other opportunities can be presented to them if we open their minds a little bit. So fast forward, graduated from college, went to grad school. I coached my college team as well for a couple of years. And then after graduate school, the NJTL hired me as their program director. So for 4 years, I was running their program department, bringing programs into Trenton, working with so many elementary, middle, and high schools in Trenton, Ewing, and Hamilton in the Mercer County area. And it was a great opportunity just seeing so many students that we brought on. We introduced the sport of tennis to, and some of them have even graduated college now, play tennis in college. And I've reached out to some of them. It's just a great feeling to know that, I've used my experience to, help the younger generation.
Mm-hmm. And Michelle, you touched on so much there that is fantastic. I do want to go back, and you spoke about West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That you're from West Africa. And
Mm-hmm.
prior to the interview, we were talking about how a lot of the population still can't conceive that Africa is a continent, that there's 30 plus countries on this continent. And you so eloquently shared to me why you say West Africa. Can you just elaborate on that again?
Well, my family, I'm originally from Liberia, which is a small country in West Africa. But I say West Africa because it's the area, it's the region that I'm from. And growing up, I had the opportunity, my family were missionaries. So we traveled around West Africa, building churches and helping those in need. So I consider myself to be a West African. I always say I'm from West Africa because I've lived in so many different countries in West Africa, and I've adapted to so many different cultures that I embrace all of West Africa. So I consider myself to be a West African.
That's fantastic. And I love that you said that. And I would hope that I can assist you with sharing the importance of us making a proper designation, because again, I think there are so many people who don't understand how vast the continent of Africa is, and the number of countries are there, and the diversity within those countries that are there as well.
Yeah,
so thank you for making that very clear, that you were born in Liberia, but you and your family traveled all over the Western Africa region because of the work that your family was as missionaries. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back and talk about something that you touched on, and that was alternative sports, so to speak. Because, although here, especially in Trenton, a lot of times people think about the traditional sports, the baseball, the basketball, probably the soccer as well. But some of the non-traditional individual sports or smaller team sports are often forgotten. But there's opportunities for people who are active, physically gifted, for them to excel in individual sports as opposed to maybe a team sport. Can you just touch on that a little bit?
Tennis is seen as an individual sport, but really it can become a team sport. So in tennis, you have you're playing your individual singles matches, and you have the opportunity to play doubles matches. So in high school, honestly, tennis is more of an individual sport because a lot of folks focus on themselves. But when you enter college, tennis becomes more of a team sport. There's a whole team dynamic that you don't really understand when you're in high school. And the importance of just branching out and experiencing other things, I think, is very important because, especially for our community, we focus on track, football, baseball. Those sports are great, but because a lot of us focus on those sports, it gives us small windows to excel, right? So we're competing, a lot of our communities, especially I would focus on the African American communities, we're all focused on one thing. So there aren't enough opportunities available for those to really get the best education, use that sport as a vehicle to become successful. So I think it's very important, and especially in sports like tennis, golf, lacrosse, there are opportunities available for those of other race, right? So going into college, I had so many scholarships available to me just as an African American, that, you know, I wouldn't probably, if I went into track, that it would be a small amount compared to the amount that I received like playing tennis. So I think that not only to expand our mindset and understand something different, I just think there are a lot of opportunities available to us if we just, you know, get outside of our community a little bit and understand there, you know, there is a big world around us, and we can make it in anything we put our, you know, we put our time and effort into. And that's what I want to do. I want to use my experience as a gateway to have students understand that there is a great path. Tennis is a great pathway to succeed and achieve so much more than you can imagine.
Mhm. You know, and I think that leads perfectly into She Leads Sports LLC, and
Yes.
why you decided to create an LLC.
So over the past 12 years, I've worked with so many nonprofits. I worked with the NJTL. I moved to New York, and I worked with other nonprofits, not just tennis, but sports organizations. I've even worked with a rugby program, a rugby company, which is also not a normal sport, right, in our community. So I guess I'm kind of the person who just likes to think outside the box and pick things that are not normal. But I realized, like, as the more I work with different organizations, I realized that a lot of providers out there were struggling with female participation, keeping female participation in sports. And that's because a lot of young girls, especially between ages 12 to 16, when they reach that age and they don't see a role model, they don't see themselves in their coaches, they tend to draw away from the sport. So there is actually a statistic that between ages 12 to 16, girls' participation in sports drop in America like significantly. And while I was in New York, I was asked to be a part of this initiative created by Adidas, and it was called She Breaks Barriers. So the initiative was to improve girls' participation in sport, and I was one of the providers helping them to find out information about why girls were dropping out of sports. And throughout the process, I realized I had so much knowledge on the whole aspect of, you know, like providing opportunities to youth and youth development and all of that. And I realized with all my experience and everything I've gone through, this will be a great opportunity to have an organization that's dedicated to girls, that's dedicated to allowing girls to be themselves, allowing girls to understand the importance of participating in sports, but use sport as a vehicle to gain confidence, understand their self-worth, increase their self-esteem, and really find their identity through sports. And so that's how She Leads Sports started. I decided this would be a great way to provide an opportunity, a platform where we can empower girls to become productive women through sport-based activities.
Mhm. You know, and it's also nice to see that there are so many organizations, sports related, on the national and international level, that are supporting more equality for women
Mhm,
participating in sports. I'm
mhm,
growing to become a bigger fan of the sport of soccer or football
mhm,
outside of our country. And it's nice to see that a lot of the larger leagues, like the British Premier League, those teams, many of them have a sibling team that is specifically professional women's soccer as well. And we all know about the success of professional tennis players. I mean, Serena Williams is considered probably the best
Best, yeah.
athlete, best period athlete of all time, you know,
Yeah.
based upon what she has been able to accomplish, her and her sister. So I know that tennis has that wonderful role model of Serena Williams and her sister, and I'm sure there are others of color and women who are doing things, LGBTQ, etc. But is it
Mhm.
still difficult with getting the information out to the families and the younger folks about tennis?
It's, well, with COVID, everything is more difficult now. But actually, before COVID, it wasn't much, it wasn't as difficult. It's a matter of consistency, I believe, especially in our community. Even when I work with other organizations, I was able to really bring tennis into the community when I worked with NJT of Trenton, because I was consistent. I was a part of the community. I was participating in, the board meetings, going to schools, being a part of their meetings, just being a part of the community and making those who are in leadership aware of the importance of sports. And it's not just tennis, it's sports overall for girls, because sports allows you to become, you can use it as a way to become more educated, but it's also a way to be a leader in your community. And we graduate, we leave the community, and sometimes we stay outside of the community. And I think that is very important for us, to those who are able, like myself, to come back and show the girls that are growing up that you can be successful, you can pass, you can use sports as your way out, not necessarily as your way out of the community, as your way out of any negative situation that you're going through, right? So you can actually become a better person and empower others to become better. So overall, to answer your question, it's a struggle, because it's a little bit of a struggle because of the lack of education in terms of what people know about tennis, or non-traditional sports. But honestly, I think anyone who wants to really make a difference, you need to put in the time, and you need to be consistent, and really showcase yourself, and let the family see their children through you, right? And this is what I do. I use my story as a way to empower young girls to see that, oh, I can achieve as much or even more. And I always tell them, I don't want you to use me as a measuring stick, but I want you to achieve way more than I have. So that's the mission behind She Leads Sports. Is I use my experience as a tennis athlete to allow girls to find themselves, to find their purpose and what they need to do in this world, so that they can become productive leaders and come back and do the same in our community.
That's fantastic. I'm speaking with Michelle Gbelama, who is the founder and the creator of She Leads Sports LLC, and the website is sheleadsports.com. Sheleadsports.com. So, Michelle, in addition to not only being an advocate and someone who's out front and who's done this kind of work, what are some of the programs that you have available and that you structure for organizations and for individuals?
So we provide, right now we have 4 main programs. The first is tennis. So tennis is our core program, and we provide group tennis lessons as well as private coaching, so one-on-one private tennis lessons. And we provide these to girls ages 4 to 18. So my goal is to provide as many programs to schools, organizations, anyone who's providing youth development service to young girls and would like to expand their horizon and would like them to understand something else other than what they're already providing to the girls. So the tennis piece is our core piece, and we also provide tennis and leadership programs to girls ages 4 to 13. So the leadership program is adopted by the Women's Sports Foundation. They created a curriculum called Go Girl Go. And this curriculum focuses on improving the physical and emotional learning and well-being of girls. And our curriculum focuses on improving their confidence, their self-esteem, decreasing stress in these young girls. So that's another program that we are available to provide to nonprofit organizations or any other school-based organizations, or anyone who's interested. And then our third program is our mentoring. Our mentoring program is called Arrows, and it's provided to girls ages 14 to 18. And our Arrow program strengthens the character of and sharpens the mindset of girls in that age group, right? So our focus is, again, to increase their self-esteem. This is a core age where girls are understanding who they are. So we go through like a workshop base where we're talking about confidence, identity, social media, what's going on right now, what are they feeling, what are they experiencing, and how to diminish negative behavior and improve positive behavior. And then our last program is our college prep program. It's called Deuce to College Prep. It's available to parents and students, right? So we provide, this program was inspired based on all the organizations I've worked with and just working with a lot of students, working with them to get into college and seeing their results. So I decided to create a course. It's a 6 weeks course, and it helps parents and guardians of high school tennis athletes who are struggling to prepare their children for college and understand the college prep process. So it helps them to set their children up as well-rounded student athlete. And in the process, their children will be able to gain confidence, establish time management skills, and really focus and put themselves in a position where they can get recruited to play tennis at a school that not only fulfills their athletic needs, but their academic needs as well. So those are the 4 programs: our tennis program, our tennis and education program, mentoring, and then our college prep program. But the college prep program is actually available to not just girls, it's available to boys as well. I think this is a really great program. I'm actually running one of our launches right now, and parents are telling me that, wow, I'm so glad I'm a part of this program, because my child is learning and I'm learning myself. So parents are even taking notes and applying what we're teaching. So it's not just a college prep program, it's a personal development program as well. So I'm just so happy to have the opportunity and the platform to really use my knowledge and use what I've experienced to have all of these available to our community and anyone who's interested as well.
Mhm. That's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing so much detailed information in such a short amount of time. And I know that we were talking about some things prior to coming on the air about how, Trenton 365 can support She Leads Sports LLC more. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that in the very near future. But I want you to touch on something because I think that what it comes down to is a lot of folks are going to be thinking about, hey, the long-term ramifications. Okay, it's fine that my child plays a sport and all those things, but how is that really going to help them in the long run with life in general after they become an adult? And I think that you're one of those success stories. You were able to parlay that into a dual degree, an advanced degree, et cetera, and also start an entrepreneurial effort with She Leads Sports LLC. But for the parents and guardians out there who may not realize that this is something, yeah, you can get a career in a sport and not be a professional athlete. Can you just share a little bit about your story and how that process?
So for parents who are wondering that whether sport is a good path for their children to get a better education, I will say to those parents that sport doesn't only provide you with the confidence to be a part of something, to be a part of a community. It allows your child to learn so many skills they wouldn't learn outside of sports. So the social skills, obviously that's a big part. You going into college, you already have people who are a part of your crew, right? You're playing college sport. You don't have to worry about finding friends or anything like that. You already have a good group of people supporting you. So there's the social aspect, and there's also the time management aspect. When you're playing a sport, you tend to manage your time well because you don't have time to procrastinate, run around, do things that you're not supposed to, lay around, watch TV. You have to study, you have to participate in the sport. You have to get a good grade because you can't play if you don't do well. So you really learn time management skills. You learn responsibility, how to be responsible for yourself and other people on your team. So I can go on and on. There are so many great, characters that your child will receive just by playing a sport. And actually, a lot of sport players statistically shows that a lot of people who play sports tend to be the bosses in their workforce, right? They're the ones who are leading the workforce. They're the ones the other students have to work for. So it's just the list goes on as to how much your child can receive by playing a sport.
Mm. Michelle Gbelama, it is always and always has been a pleasure to chat with you on whether in person or on video. I am so appreciative of the work that you're doing and how much you're making an impact. Not
Thank
only
you.
you're welcome, not only right here in Trenton, but also in Mercer County and beyond. And again, you can expect to have Trenton 365 as a partner, as a media outlet, whatever you need going forward. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Folks, you've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, connecting you with wonderful human beings like Michelle Gbelama here of She Leads Sports LLC. Make sure you go over to the website, sheleadsports.com, and let her know that you heard about the program through Trenton 365. And as always, folks, Jacque Howard here, letting you know that it's always about justice, peace, and humility. Take care, folks.